Hello guys, welcome to my video on Seiya Awakening, which was just launched a few days ago on the global server. Now, I've been chatting on Reddit with some of you guys, so I decided to make a quick video on common questions regarding the game. First, a bit about my background. I have actually played the game on the Hong Kong server, which is half a year ahead of the global release, and I'd like to share some of my experience so that you guys wouldn't make the same mistakes or detours that I did before. And as a card games lover, my main game used to be Hearthstone and on and off with other card games like Magic the Gathering. I genuinely enjoyed this game because of the deep strategy involved compared to games like Hearthstone. On the other hand, this is a gacha game, so it's definitely more pay to win. But at the end of the day, the game is more about resource allocation. And I have friends who stay free to play and is able to reach the highest division in PvP. Personally, I spent around 5 to 600 USD so far, and I was able to get into the top 5 in PvP, which is shown in this screenshot. By the way, PvE content is pretty amazing too. The storyline has great details matching the original anime series, and the vast PvE content is enough to keep you busy if you're not into PvP. And obviously PvE is free to play. So in terms of card collection, so far in my Hong Kong server, let's take a look. So far, I've been able to collect all the cards that has been released in the game, except for this one. Except for the newest card, the Golden Hyoga, which is just being released. So one of the most common questions is on which S card to reroll. Let me go back to the US server. So I have a short answer and a long answer to this question. The short answer is don't even bother to reroll. First off, there is no S card in the current roster, which is overpowered. Let us take a look at the current roster. The current S cards. There are only 9 of them compared to 12 and actually maybe over 20 S cards, 20 something S cards in the Hong Kong server. Also, there are already 2 SS cards released in the Hong Kong server. So anyway, the short answer is I don't even bother to reroll it on my US server. Because if you look at the S cards to be released down the road, what difference does 1 or 2 more S cards make? So my advice would be to just enjoy the game and the PvE content, because the PvE content is really amazing. Okay, however, I know you guys are looking for the long answer, right? Okay, so here is the tier ranking that I recommend if you're really into rerolling. I'm going to base the ranking on both PvE and PvP usability. So first, I'm going to I made 4 tiers for all the S cards available in the US server so far. Let's go to the tier 4 first. The tier 4 S cards are these 2. Golden Arrow Sayer and this one, Mayura. So if you have noticed, these 2 S cards are actually available from the mall. Let's take a look here. There are actually shards available for these 2 characters, and there's a reason to this, because these 2 S cards are really underwhelming. There are a lot of better alternatives available, or either they're too slow. So let's go back to the codex and let's talk about the tier 3. So the first tier 3 S card I would say is Taurus. Taurus, it has high damage, but it's really too slow. If you look at his main skill, the marks one enemy, charges up for 1 action round. That means you're actually waiting for the second round for it to be effective. And the worst thing is it actually marks the enemy that you're targeting. So your opponent is going to know who you're going after, right? So again, there are better alternatives available than Taurus, so I would rate it as tier 3. Okay, the second tier 3 S card in my opinion is Sure. His ability is just not that unique compared to the future S cards. Even the A card, EU, has both damage and stun effects with a lower cost. He stacks attacks after a unit is being killed by him, but that's just too slow in PvP. Next we have Sorrento. Sorrento is also a tier 3 S card because she's one of the slowest cards. Her ultimate control skill, Climax of Death. It costs 4 mana. There are actually 4 cards, all of them A or B rarity, which is a better control than Sorrento. I'm going to talk about those 4 cards in the next video. So moving to the second tier, tier 2. First, I want to talk about Death Mask. Sure, Death Mask is slow as well, but his ability makes him the best comeback card. With the future release of Cosmos, which is going to buff Death Mask. Death Mask is also a very useful character in one of the future PvE modes to come. Milo is also tier 2 in my opinion. It's a 0 cost damage unit, which is great. However, its damage is RNG based, and to increase the RNG probability, you need to level his skills using skill tomes, which is the most precious resource in the game. Again, there are better alternatives in the future S cards, and Milo is also a PvP only card. Next, we have Camus and Iolia. Okay, these 2 cards are both strong in the beginning of the game, especially in the Freeze team. However, Freeze team will be countered heavily by future S cards, probably in 2 months' time. And the new card, Gemini Saga. This card should be also coming soon, which is a more widely used AoE card than Iolia. Okay, next I actually made a tier 1.5, which is just a bit shy from the tier 1 cards. The first one is Mu. Mu is already seen currently in PvP on US servers, and it's going to be even more powerful after new cards are being released, which synergize well with Mu's defensive and comeback mechanism. The second one in tier 1.5 is Iolos, okay? He's a useful PvP card in the beginning, but eventually he'll be used mostly in PvE missions. With Iolos, a few of the very important PvE missions could be completed easier, which means more effective gathering of resources. Okay, so finally, we're on to tier 1. It may come as a surprise, but Sari, which is a support card, is going to be one of the star PvP cards down the road. Her abilities include Purify
amplifying negative effects on teammates, and most importantly, she can resurrect I shouldn't say resurrect. I should say prevent teammates from fatal hits by her Blast Victory ability. She's also a very useful card in a few important PvE missions as well. Next we have the Grand Pope. The Grand Pope is a PvP only card. He is a hard control card, which means the control effect cannot be purified. It's one of the most unique cards in the game because of his control mechanics, and his Confusion ability can often turn around an already lost game. He is regarded as one of the best cards for underdogs to create shock defeats in the PvP arena. Finally, we have Aphrodite as the last tier 1S card. Down the road, he's going to be a mostly PvE card, but he's very useful in Legion boss matches, and also important in a lot of PvE missions. He's going to be retired from PvP matches later though, since he's just too slow to set up for PvP. Okay, so to summarize, as I mentioned, in the beginning of the game, it's all about resource allocation, especially acquiring all kinds of cosmos, which is far more important than getting a particular character. I strongly encourage you guys to level up all the essential A and B cards first for completing the essential missions such as Epic Rings, Titans, and Dimensions. Which brings us to the tier list of A and B cards, which I'm going to talk about in the next video. Stay tuned.